Hello YouTube! It's been really long since the last time I made my last pregnancy vlog. I was 21 weeks pregnant then, and as of yesterday, I am 32 weeks pregnant. So, huge gap. But I'm back and I am gonna make basically like a long catch up what's been happening in my life since then video. Yeah, probably will end up being 2 parts because I don't want to have like a 20-minute video because that's crazy. So yeah. If I keep looking down, it's because I have notes, because a lot happened since then, because that's like 11 weeks. Yeah. Weird, this picture, my best friend studies photography, and she took it of me. I'm not some like super narcissistic, I hang pictures of myself everywhere person. It's just, she took it for me, and I think it's pretty, so, yes, that's me up there. But anyways, haven't made a vlog since 21 weeks because my life kind of got crazy, and like tons of things happened, and I kind of like had to take a step back and try to focus on like my health and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so what's happened since then? I had my 20th birthday, so that's cool. Happy birthday to me. But mostly been having trips in and out of the hospital due to my the concealed abruption that I had, or that they diagnosed me with. But I would go in and out of the hospital. Basically what would happen then is they would check to see if I was dilated, and I wouldn't be, and then they would be like, okay, here's some pain medicine, we don't know what's wrong, and then they send me home. So always a fun time. Basically know all the nurses at my hospital by name, so maybe I'm just checking everybody out before I have the baby. No, they make that joke, but I'm not. I hate hospitals. They're awful. Not awful, but like, I don't know, just not a fun place to be, you know. Yeah. Sorry, there's some makeup under my eye. I have pregnancy ADD. So yeah. But, so those hospital trips, and then mostly just me being on bed rest and not doing a very good job of being on bed rest. Pushing myself too far, and then, you know, being in too much pain and going to the hospital, and it's like a cycle, basically, a terribly annoying, awful cycle. Then more close to now, like where we are now, a couple weeks ago, I had some like leak, like my water, like fluid leaked, which was crazy. I was, TMI, I was using the bathroom and like had completely finished using the bathroom, and then my boyfriend came in and we were like talking, we were like having a conversation like by the sink, and all of a sudden like I'm not exaggerating, but like splash, like, and then there was like a puddle of water. I was wearing a dress. It was very like movie like story-ish. It was crazy, and I was like, did my water just break? Like, what the hell just happened? And I was freaking out. I think I was 29 weeks. No, I was 25. I'm not sure. 27. Okay. I'm sure. 27 weeks, because they were, when I was hooked up to the Toka monitor for the contractions and her little Doppler. They were telling me that it was crazy at 27 weeks, like the heart accelerations that they could see Charlie having. Like they were like, oh, her heart rate is advanced. That's really awesome. And I was like, cool. It was cool. It was cool. I just like, I guess it's cooler for a doctor. But yeah. So we thought my water broke, and when they were checking me, there was some bleeding. So they couldn't like be like, yes, your water broke, or no, like there was like signs for both. So they were just like, we don't really know. So they did an ultrasound, and like they said that your water has to be somewhere between 5 and 25, and my water was at 15, so that was perfect. They think that I probably had some leaking, but it was like still a good level. Everything was like okay, so good. Like my membranes didn't rupture, so they're heavy. So I went home eventually, and I had a doctor's appointment like 4 days later. I want to, maybe? No, it was like a week, yeah. I had my next like checkup regular for doctor's appointment, and they said that my like stomach was measuring a little small. So, and like that like matched with the hospital visit. They wanted to make sure that like I hadn't lost any more fluid, and also just a regular measuring. And this was like 29, almost 30 weeks pregnant. So I went for an ultrasound, and it was a good ultrasound. They said that my water levels were still at 15, so I hadn't lost anymore, and that Charlie, the baby, I said that in my last vlog, that we were naming her Charlotte, but we're calling her Charlie. Also, we didn't have a middle name for her then, but we have since decided on one, and it's May. So her full name is Charlotte May Marone, but Charlie May. It's cute. I like it a lot, obviously, since we chose it. But anyways, she was big. She was measuring at like 32 weeks instead of 30, so that was cool. She weighed 3.5 pounds. Super cute. She was like scrunched up, and she was breech. Like she wasn't feet down, she was like butt down. So she was like all folded up, and her knees were like right by her face. It was cute, and she was sucking her thumb. But then the ultrasound technician started asking like all these like pointed questions. She was like, why did they want you to have an ultrasound? Or like, have you had any like bleeding throughout your pregnancy? And like I have, like I've had spotting and a lot more normal than normal. But they thought the doctors, that's why they like diagnosed me with my concealed abruption originally. So she kept asking me all these questions, and then she was just like, do you know that you have a placenta abruption? And I was just like, the doctors never were able to see it, but they diagnosed me with a concealed one. And she was like, oh, I can see it. And she showed us, and it was right there, and it was like, you know, a placenta attaches to a uterine wall like this, and instead of being like this, it was like that. I don't know, not that big, but like, you know, you get the point. So there was like this space in between, there's like the space in between my placenta and my uterus, and behind it is like a pool of like blood, which causes my uterus to contract. And she was like, well, do you mind waiting a few minutes so I can get a doctor? And I was like, okay. And then she was gone for like 20 minutes, and she came back, and she was like, would you mind staying a few a few extra minutes, like maybe 15 or 10 minutes, because a doctor is going to come and talk to you guys, and kind of like concerned, and we were just like, okay, yeah, no problem, we can go get some lunch down at the hospital cafeteria and wait for her. And then we waited for like an hour because Obama actually was in town where I live, and I guess there was like super bad traffic, and the specialist that was coming to talk to us wasn't at the hospital. She was somewhere else, so she had to come to the hospital. But she came and she talked to us, and like while we were waiting, it was kind of like me and my boyfriend, we were just like, ha, because every time we went to the doctor, I mean, every time we went to the hospital, they were just like, oh, we don't know what's wrong, we don't think you actually have a placenta abruption, and you probably don't, it's not really what we think it is, we're just saying that because, you know, we want to put a label on it. And like finally, like, there's like proof. There's like obviously like there's something that I can explain the pain I'm in, and like why I'm having contractions, why I'm like bleeding. Like it's not a mystery anymore. Like there's something there and has a label. So it was like comforting, and like kind of like I felt like vindicated because like so many nurses were like not nice about it, and they were kind of like made me feel like I was like making up my pain or whatever. Sorry, out of breath. But the specialist talked to us, and she kind of like told us kind of like what the abruption meant, and like said that she didn't want us going past 39-week mark, and just that they were going to monitor us. And so I went home, and I was kind of like in a good mood, and like slowly later through the night I kind of like had like an emotional breakdown because it's scary. Like most people when like you're pregnant, you like are like, oh, my body is like the safest place for the baby to be, and you want them to stay inside because, you know, they need to keep growing and they need to be able, like, your body like provides for them, but my body isn't doing that, and it's like not exactly safe. It's like she needs to stay in there, but it's also not safe for her, and it's so touch and go. And the fact that I now had like this date that was before my due date, that like I just kept feeling like, oh, I'm not ready for her to come, and it was scary, and then had like these feelings of like, I don't know, like almost like resentment, because like so many people who are pregnant are like, oh, I'm so over this, I just want to have the baby already, because being pregnant sucks, and like it doesn't always, like, it's not always rainbows, but like people who have like easy pregnancies, it's just, you know, I would give anything to just want it to be over because I'm like uncomfortable, not like because a doctor's telling me like my body isn't safe for her anymore. So yeah, that happened, and that's kind of where I'm gonna leave you, and I'm gonna say the rest for part 2 to catch up for the last 2 weeks. But like a thought to leave you with until I make the part 2 video is that if you are pregnant, cherish every single moment, because like you don't know when it'll end, and it's so precious, the fact that you can like grow a life. And people who have difficulties, even like people who can't conceive, or people who have a hard time and then have even more difficult pregnancies, like I can tell you that they would trade with you any day. So like I'm not saying like pregnant people suck and you're all jerks, but just cherish it. It's beautiful. So that's all. Thanks for watching, and look forward to part 2.